Hi everyone, it's that magical time of year again. It's the run up to E3. Now by the time I've sat and finally recorded this video, there have been leaks, there have been rumours, there have been predictions, there have even been some early reveals. So this isn't really a predictions video by my standards, it's more of a selfish wish list. In fact, I'm most likely going to repeat a lot of the things that I said in my previous E3 video from 2 years ago, I think. So I've got a little listy-boo here of things that I personally want to see. Some things are things that we already know about, and other stuff it's completely off the top of my head and just a selfish request. So first things first, I want to find out more about the Pokemon RPG on the Switch. I still don't own a Switch, and quite honestly, that's literally the only game I can think that would sway me. And everyone, you're probably thinking, what, you mean you haven't played Breath of the Wild? You haven't played, what's the other one? Mario Odyssey? With the exception to Twilight Princess, I've not played any other Zelda game, and I've never played a Mario game. So unfortunately, my allegiance is not very much inclined towards Nintendo. Though I don't dislike Nintendo, I just don't have that affiliation. But Pokemon, I love Pokemon, you know, Pokemon Gold was my jam when I was 8 years old, so the idea of having that on a home console is very interesting to me, rather than a handheld, because I find it a bit strenuous using a handheld. So yeah, I want to know more about that. At this point, Resident Evil 2 Remake, or Remake as it's being branded, just an update on that please, that would be nice. What else? Ooh, I've got written here, God of War DLC. Now, I'm not expecting much. I'm not even expecting that they will announce DLC. Again, this is just a personal request. I would like maybe something, it doesn't have to be a direct story-driven or a main story-driven piece of DLC. I'm talking something in the vein of The Last of Us Left Behind. Something to that effect, where it is just a little unique little story that adds to the lore, adds to the world, but doesn't necessarily mean without it you lose an integral part of information. At least I don't see it that way. And hopefully with a big boss fight. One of the gripes with God of War is the lack of big boss fights. Sorry if you've not played all the way through it. Just a little bit of just to manage your expectations. There are bosses, but they're not as many as what you would expect for a God of War game. So I would like to see that in some DLC. And, you know, the amount of success that God of War has seen, why wouldn't they make DLC for it? Code Vein, it's slowly building up more and more anticipation. Like, more people are starting to hear about it, starting to see trailers for it. I've known about Code Vein for a little while now. I can't think how long now. It's got to be well over a year. It's been quite some time since I first heard about it. And I'm subscribed to the Bandai Namco newsletter, so they've been upping it and talking about it there. I just want to see a release date, really. I'm not necessarily bothered about seeing more gameplay because I've seen all that I need to see. I just want a release date. Ghost of Tsushima, I think that was announced at PSX, or was it last E3? No, I'm pretty sure it was announced at PSX. That looks something I'd be interested in. If not, it's definitely something that my John would be very interested in. Either way, I want to know more about it. Maybe some gameplay, that would be nice. Lost Soul aside, this is a game that no one seems to be talking about, and I can't understand why. I think it was announced a long time ago, I believe, but there was a playable boss fight at PSX that a lot of the bigger channels were able to go and play, and from what I can tell it looks really fun. A lot of people are describing it as, and I quote, this isn't my way of describing it, Devil May Cry meets Dark Souls, and I know that's making everyone cringe, but the way I see it, it's just a new hack and slash action style game, and I'm all for it. It looks pretty cool anyway. Anyway, some more information on that would be great. Of course, it goes without saying, Final Fantasy VII Remake update. I think Square Enix is supposed to have a really, really big pre-recorded session. They're going to have quite a large time slot from what I can tell, so there's got to be something in there. And at this point, I'm not even pushing for a release date. I just want to know that the development's gone well now that they've taken it in-house, and maybe just see some more screenshots. I don't want a lot, I just want some reassurance that it's going according to plan. Okay, I don't want to hear any talk about next generation consoles. That can friggin' do one in my opinion. And I know that might link in with the whole Final Fantasy VII thing, because there's a lot of speculation that maybe it's going to be a PS5 launch title or something. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know anything about next gen just yet. I feel like I've only just really gotten a decent way through the PS4 library. I don't want to be thinking about PS5 or Xbox, I don't know, Xbox Infinity. I don't know, whatever the fuck they're going to call their next one. Ooh, alright, so selfish request. Final Fantasy VIII HD, so like the PC HD version, on PSN with trophy support. We've had Final Fantasy VII and we've had Final Fantasy IX. Why has there been no Final Fantasy VIII? It's all I want, and I will happily pay $15.99 for it. Hell, I might even pay $17.99 for it. I just want to play it. I've been playing it on the PS3 again just for the sake of it, but I would like to see it in a little bit of, you know, upscaled goodness with trophy support, just to kind of make the experience worthwhile. Now, I think this one's already kind of been ruined, but I wrote this list before the Walmart incident, and that is Gears of War 5. I suck at the online play. I can't play it online for love nor money, but I've loved the story. I find the plot really interesting, and it's a game that me and John can play on co-op. So I'm looking forward to the prospect of Gears of War 5. Oh, I've got written here an Xbox exclusive JRPG. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos I really like Infinite Undiscovery, and I absolutely adore Lost Odyssey. I think that was one of the driving forces of the Xbox 360. Their selection of JRPGs and exclusive titles in general was second to none, and this generation it's all gone a bit wah wah in my opinion. And I honestly don't necessarily want them to barrage me with exclusives. If they say we have developed or we are publishing an exclusive brand new JRPG title and it's not linked to an existing franchise, I would be down for trying it out. I don't know what's happened with Mistwalker. I don't know if maybe they've gone bye-bye. I don't know what's happened to them, but if they were able to get notable people from other franchises to work on a title, I'd be happy for that. I would be down for it. Ooh, okay, I'm not too sure if I'm still bothered about this, but I know a lot of people want more VR games. I'm not too bothered about VR, but I have written here a Quantic Dream style game for VR. So for those of you who are finally getting onto the Quantic Dream bandwagon, have just played Detroit, Become Human. I've forgotten what it's called already. I haven't played it yet, but I love Beyond Two Souls, love that, and Heavy Rain is a classic. But that style of game, or even Until Dawn, I know that's not the same studio, but those type of games in virtual reality where you're making decisions for yourself and you have to play out the consequences not as over the shoulder looking at a third person perspective, but you physically have to endure whatever the experience is. I think that would be really cool. So if we see something like that, I'd be quite happy. Okay, this one, I'm not even sure if I still want it. I've written here, The Evil Within 2 DLC, not a friggin' sequel. This time last year we were exposed to The Evil Within 2, which I was excited for, and then when it came to actually playing the game, I was just like, no, this is dreadful. It's not scary, it's too easy. Classic mode is hard, I'll grant them that, but everything else about the game was just it just wasn't challenging. And I thought the plot was dreadful. I knew where they were going to go with the plot right from the first game. When you read all the collectible pieces of information, you know, the police files and all that, and the audio tapes, I knew exactly where they were going to go with a sequel from the minute you picked up the information about his daughter and wife going missing and all that kind of thing. But I feel like there's still some loose ends with that game, and I really don't think it merits a third one. But if they did a DLC to tie up all those loose ends, I'd be happy. And I wouldn't mind playing as another character. I'm not going to say which character, because I think that does wander into spoiler territory. But let's just say they were in the first game, and they kind of weren't in the second. Yeah, so I'd be down for that, and it doesn't have to be a big announcement. It could just be, oh, we've created some DLC to finish the Evil Within 2. It's going to be available for like £10 or something from the store in a few months. End of story. Alright, Condemned 3. I don't even know if it would be possible. I don't know. I forget who was in charge of developing it. I don't know. Xbox obviously lost the exclusive rights because Condemned 2 came out on both consoles. But I just want to see more Condemned, because it's got to that point where I can't understand how a game that successful doesn't get milked dry, especially in this day and age where you see some franchises that never seem to end. But I enjoyed Condemned very much, and I would like more. This one, I think this is already churning through the rumour mill, but I'm just going to throw my hat into the ring and say Prince of Persia. Obviously with Ubisoft's success with Assassin's Creed and taking a year off from that proved to be a good move for them. Having an Assassin's Creed every single year was getting a bit meh. And we all know that Assassin's Creed was originally going to be a Prince of Persia spin-off, and then it ended up being its own IP. So of course, go back to the drawing board, make a Prince of Persia while using the Assassin's Creed like inspiration. I can't see why that would be such a bad idea. I liked the Forgotten Sands, and I liked the 2008 one, but I think a lot of people have just forgotten about them at this point, and it's a shame because it was a really good franchise. Okay, here's an interesting one, some food for thought. I've talked about this with people like in live chats and things like that. Everyone goes on about Final Fantasy X-3, right? Everyone goes on about how they want it and how they think it should be a prequel, it should be with Jack, Brasker and Oren, and I agree, but here's some food for thought, guys. Why not just condense all that? Because the plot is, we know how it all ends, right? We know how things end with Jack, Oren and Brasker. So why drag that into a full game when they could just make a shorter movie? And I don't mean like Kingsglaive, I mean like Advent Children. I would prefer a Final Fantasy X universe movie at this point. A game I wouldn't say no to, but I think there's just too much room for error, especially the mixed bag of reviews that X-2 got. I personally love X-2, obviously, for obvious reasons. I think it did appeal to a lot of girls, but it got too many mixed reviews to merit them risking a third game and potentially jeopardising the plot as it was anyway. So I think a 10 movie in some shape or form would be really cool. Legacy of Kain. Alright, so hands up. Yes, I've only played Blood Omen 2 and I've only played Defiance. So I've only played 2 games in the franchise. But I feel like it's a franchise that needs rejuvenating in some sense. So whether or not they choose to bring Defiance to PSN as a PS2 classic with Trophy Sport, I'd be happy with that. Or a continuation in the franchise in some shape or form. I don't know how they would do it, but I would love for it. I even mentioned it in a live stream, not one of my live streams, but I was in chat with some other people, and I kind of threw, what if Platinum Games, now that obviously they've got some sort of relationship with Square Enix, what if they developed a Legacy of Kain game? And everyone kind of went, yeah, that would be cool. That would be amazing. I don't think it would necessarily be something that everyone would be down for, but something like that would interest me. Scalebound. Now, as we all know, Microsoft kind of went wah, 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 and canned it. I would like to see it, because it'd be a shame. All that work went into it. Maybe come to PS4, or someone somewhere needs to pick that up and give it the life it deserved. So I would love to see Scalebound make it to consoles in some shape or form. From Software. What is it? Like that teaser trailer they dropped a while back, it still hasn't really been figured out, has it? I don't think From Software have actually said what their next official project is. So I'm kind of wondering at this point, what could it be? I personally would like for it to be a Demon Souls remake, not necessarily remaster, because it is a little bit on the older side. If not, then I think some people were throwing in the rumour that it could be a Tenchu game. That would be cool too. But then I realised From Software made Ninja Blade, and I absolutely love Ninja Blade. Not many people did, but I really loved it. And I would love for it to be related to that somehow, because you look at the trailer and you can very faintly see like kanji in the background. I think that is more pushing towards Tenchu, which is fine, but at this point I just want to know what the frick it is. Just tell us, software, from software, Mr. Software, tell us what it is. I have forgotten what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, so the Devil May Cry, oh, let's grab it. Oh, I can't reach it. So this came out a few months ago, right? And of course, instantly everyone started churning the Devil May Cry 5 rumor mill. Everyone started going, oh, it means there's gonna be a sequel, blah, blah, blah. What if it's a red herring, my good friends? What if it actually means Ninja Theory are working on DMC2? And you're probably thinking, no, I love DMC. At this point, a DMC2 and or a Devil May Cry 5, so why couldn't they have just picked another name? I think a Capcom sequel or a Ninja Theory sequel at this point are both equally welcome in my books. I want one or the other, maybe even both. That would be even better. But at this point, I think people are yearning for more Devil May Cry in some capacity. So I think we want to see more of that. Alright, lastly on my list, I've got The Order 1887. Maybe, or maybe even 1890, who knows. What year they choose to pick, I don't know. But the Order 1886 received a real big backlash over the length of time in which it took to complete the game. And I agree that isn't fun for anyone. But here's my problem. I platinumed Until Dawn, so that means I did everything there was to do in the game, every ending, every outcome, in the space of 47 hours. Yeah, and I mean in that space. I don't mean it took me 47 hours. I mean I took the game home on the Friday afternoon, or it was delivered to my house on the Friday afternoon, and I traded it in first thing the following Monday morning. And people applaud that game, they rave that game, they give it, 10 out of 10, whatever, and it is a good game. The Order 1886, on the other hand, took me a little bit longer to get the platinum for, albeit, yeah, it's an easy platinum to get. I use the platinum as a way of gauging the extent of the game, like how much there is to do. And I really don't think it deserved all the backlash that it got. So I really hope that with that in mind, it doesn't diminish the quite obvious sequel that they wanted to do. They left it kind of open-ended. They've left it with a world and lore that could be spread out further. So personally, I would like to see an Order, or the Order sequel. I just don't know what timeline. If it's set in the same era, that would be cool. But if they want to set it maybe more towards the Great War, then that would also be very, very interesting to see. Alright, at this moment in time, I can't think of anything else in particular, because everything else I would want or need in my life has already been leaked or rumoured or already mentioned before or theorised. This is, like I say, a completely selfish and unreasonable wish list of games that may never even happen. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. I just wanted to jump in and say hello real quick. What are your selfish and unreasonable wish lists for E3? It doesn't have to be anything that's actually on the pipeline. It could be anything. I'm just interested. If you could pick a title or a type of game to be made off the cuff just like that, what would it be? Okay, so with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye!